Good evening, everyone. This is your evening news recap, your nightly news podcast on all the news that I come across throughout the day, giving you my take as somebody who aspires to be a politician in the near future. Hopefully, all you guys are doing wonderful. Hopefully, all you guys are doing well. Today is October 25th, and it is Saturday. It's been, a pretty interesting day in the news world. A slow one, as weekends tend to be, but interesting nonetheless. So, with that being said, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. All the support would be greatly appreciated as we are trying to hit 500 subscribers on YouTube by the end of the year. I believe we can do it without a doubt, so if you're new here, please consider subscribing. And if you're on Substack, please also consider subscribing as well. All funds go to me to help me pay for the things that I need to pay for in college, like my clothing, like my groceries, like my tuition, all those kinds of things. But if not, you can always subscribe for free. I truly do appreciate all forms of support on this content. And with that being said, hopefully all you guys are doing wonderful, and let's get into the news from today. Moving on into the Trump administration segment, as we do, the first topic we have today is Trump accepted $130 million from an anonymous individual to pay the military. Defense officials have announced that they accepted an anonymous gift of $130 million to help pay military salaries during the government shutdown. Trump said that a friend of his offered the money out of patriotism. On Friday, a Pentagon spokesperson, Sean Parnell, said in a statement that the Department of Defense accepted the money under its General Gift Acceptance Authority. Parnell said the donation was made on the condition that it to be used to offset the cost of service members' salaries and benefits. We are grateful for this donor's assistance, and after Democrats opted to withhold pay from the troops. It has now been announced that it was Timothy Mellon who paid for this, but it's interesting that they tried to keep that anonymous at the start. I really find it odd that they were pushing to keep this secret. Like, why wouldn't they just come out with it and say who's doing this if they planned to announce it anyways. Unless something is going on in the background, there's no reason to hide that an individual is sharing so much money with the federal government, unless there's a bit of corruption, which I wouldn't be surprised about knowing this administration. But I find it interesting that they tried to hide that. Genuinely, like, why would you try to hide that? Why wouldn't you just let the public know this individual is paying to keep our military funded? On top of us having, the most funded military in the entire world, it's really interesting that they tried to keep this secret. Truly, truly interesting. In other news, concerns are growing over Trump's mental state. Concerns are growing on Trump's mental state following a post he made on Truth Social. In his post, he wrote, "Just in, Democrats have showed conclusively that Christopher Wray, deranged Jack Smith, Merrick Garland, Lisa Monaco, and other crooked low files from the failed Biden administration signed off on Operation Arctic Frost. They spilled on senators and congresswomen/men and even taped their calls. They cheated and rigged the 2020 presidential election. These radical left lunatics should be prosecuted for their illegal and highly unethical behavior. The only issue with this is none of these people were in office during the 2020 election, so they wouldn't have been able to do any of this. It was Trump and his Department of Justice who were in office at the time, not Biden and his Department of Justice. So, wonder where he got that from." Trump is calling to prosecute people for things here that they didn't even do. They weren't even in office to do that, which for one is insane, but also that is a massive issue. This is just blatant proof that Trump wants to go after political opponents, a tactic historically used by dictators since forever. Genuinely. This is not a man who is an American president. Trump is not an American president. He is a fascist, and it was a mistake to ever let him step foot in the White House in the first place. People like him do not have presidential qualities. People like him should not be leading a country. He is a failed businessman, and he shouldn't even be a politician in the first place. Genuinely. In other news, Trump is increasing tariffs on Canada for the Reagan video. Trump has added more tariffs onto what Canada is paying. In a post on Truth Social, Trump wrote, "Canada was caught red-handed putting the federal fraudulent advertisement on Ronald Reagan's speech on tariffs. The Reagan Foundation said that they created an ad campaign using a selective audio and video of President Ronald Reagan. This ad misrepresents the presidential radio address and did not seek or nor receive permission to use and edit the remarks. The Ronald Reagan Foundation and Institute is reviewing its legal options to the matter. The sole purpose of this fraud was Canada's hope that the United States Supreme Court will come to their rescue on tariffs that they have used for years to hurt the United States. Now the United States is able to defend itself against high and overbearing Canadian tariffs and those from the rest of the world as well. Ronald Reagan loved tariffs for the purposes of national security and economy. That is just not the case, but Canada said that he didn't. Their advertisement, was taken down immediately, but they let it run last night during the World Series, knowing it was fraud because their serious misrepresentation of the facts and hostile act. I am increasing the tariff on Canada by 10% over and above what they are paying now. Great. I'm so excited to pay more for products from Canada just because Trump is pissed off about something that isn't even true in the first place. Isn't that just lovely? And they said women shouldn't be in office because they were too emotional to lead the country. I can't wait for all of our allies and so many more to hate us just because Trump is too much of an emotional dumbass rather than a competent and respectful leader. Is America great yet? Because it sure does not feel like it. Granted, we were never great in the first place, but hey, it doesn't feel like we're getting any greater. Anyways, moving on into our other news segment today. 13 people were shot and 2 were killed in a North Carolina shooting. Not South Carolina. I accidentally said that in my video earlier on TikTok. Oops. But 13 people have been shot at. 2 are now dead in North Carolina, according to Robeson County Sheriff Bernice Wilkins. Around 150 people ran from the scene before officers arrived to it. The shooting appeared to be isolated, but no further information has been released. My condolences to all the families of those who were killed, and I wish a speedy recovery to the 13 who were injured. This is an ongoing situation, and information is still being released, but hopefully everyone is safe, and hopefully law enforcement is able to find the attacker who is still running around. Last time I checked, they haven't found him, and I do not believe they have found him yet. I checked around an hour ago, so. Anyways, moving on into our final topic for tonight, a mass shooting has happened near Howard University in Washington, D.C. Multiple have been shot at near Howard University in Washington, D.C. on Friday night. D.C. Police Chief Pamela Smith announced 5 were shot during a homecoming event for the school, but fortunately they are expected to be okay. 4 adult males and 1 teenage male were taken to nearby hospitals with non-life-threatening injuries. 2 suspects are now in custody and 3 weapons have been recovered from the scene. I hope all of those injured are able to recover. Once again, this displays the issue we have with gun violence in our country. And thankfully, it doesn't look like anyone will pass from this, but we still need better gun regulation in the United States. It should be harder to get a gun in the United States. We are the only country that actively deals with mass shootings regularly. And even though other countries throughout the world have laws where guns are legal, it is not the problem. It is not a problem for them, which is insane that it has continuously been a problem for us when other countries around the world have guns and it is not a problem for them. Maybe we should take a look at what other countries got going on, because clearly there are so many things that we can take from and make our country at the very least a better place. Genuinely, like, gun violence is not a problem that should exist in the United States, and the fact that it is such a regular thing is horrific, and it's sad. It is sad that children and teachers have to worry about if they're going to go to school or if they're going to go to work and they're not going to make it out of the classroom the next day. That is something that is horrific, and that is something that we should not have to worry about in the United States. But unfortunately, that just is the case. With that being said, though, that's all we have for today. I hope you all enjoyed today's episode. It has definitely been a very interesting one. If you're new here, though, please consider subscribing. All the support would be greatly appreciated as we are trying to hit 500 subscribers on YouTube by the end of the year. I believe we can do it. I know we can do it. So if you're new here, please subscribe. All the support would be greatly appreciated. And if you're on Substack, please also consider subscribing as well. All funds go to me. They only pay for the things that I need to pay for, like my groceries, like clothing, like all of that. But if not, you can always subscribe for free. I truly do appreciate all forms of support on this content. We're out here building a political platform. So if you're interested in a country that actually cares about its people, that provides things for its people, like healthcare, like all the sorts of things that people should have that our government just robs us of, or, things like better workers' rights, things like, making communities walkable again rather than, having to have a car everywhere, protecting the environment and so many other things. That's my goal when I make it into office. So if you're interested in supporting that, feel free to drop a subscribe. With that being said, though, thank you everyone for watching today's episode, and I will see you all